Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cloud-Based Mayhem. I was incredibly fortunate to be in France at the Targassone World Cup last week and got to sit down with Julien Garcia. We had some pretty challenging weather, even though they were able to pull off 4 pretty amazing tasks. We had a few days off and sat down with Julien on one of those. I got to know Julien because he and I both bombed out from a pretty good position going into end of speed on the last day of the super final and didn't pull it off, and got to walk out together and sit down and chat for a while, and was a little blown away then with his job. I obviously knew that he coached the French team, but his history is pretty interesting. He's been at this for a long time. He was a coach of the juniors team for a long time, and products like Maxime Pinot and Charles Cazaux and many other names, and he was the head there at Polisport, which is in Targassone, the Olympic training center, one of the Olympic training centers for France. And paragliding is a sport you can go do there and learn how to eventually make the French team, hopefully, and be one of the best of the best. The French are obviously doing this at a level that very few other countries are, or even close to. There was a triple podium there in Targassone with Maxime and Honorin and Baptiste, and this is something we see all the time. And it's because of people like Julien. He's got an amazing job. He flies around the world with the team and coaches them and trains them and gets them. He gives a talk before every task on strategy and weather and FTV and final glide, and he was incredibly articulate in how he thinks about flying and strategy and really good performance. And I was mostly in awe through this whole conversation about where they are operating compared to certainly where we are here in the States, and I imagine where most other countries are operating. And they take this professionally. It's a professional sport. They are gaming for the podium. They don't care about much else, and they're gaming for excellence. And there's a lot the rest of us could all learn. So, and I also didn't know this. He was both a part of Maxime's team in the Red Bull X Alps as well as Ellie Eggers. So he was at home on his computer. It sounded like it was pretty traumatizing in some ways, knowing the risk that they were taking, but he was helping both of them route through the Alps in their race, keeping them on good lines and away from storms, and it was pretty stormy, especially a few of the days going around Mont Blanc, and so he was very instrumental in both of their success. So that was pretty fun to learn about as well. So talk about all these things and much more, but yeah, prepare to be a little odd. Enjoy this conversation with Julien Garcia, the coach of the French team. Cheers. Julien, nice to have you on the show. I don't get to do these in person very often, so it's nice to be sitting with you here in France. We should be flying, but it sounds like that's coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. I'm really happy to be in front of you too. I heard a lot of good things you did for the community, and I'm fan of your books and of the podcast, obviously. So
thank you.
It's an honor.
It's good we're behind this. You're making me blush. Well, it was quite an honor to bomb out with you. We had quite a good day, but we didn't quite make it in down at the super final on the last day and walked out of a rather impressive estate. I don't know if you knew this, but I think that was the owner of Corona that had that.
Yeah,
it's amazing. You knew that. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I've never been in there, but
I really thought that would won this task at some point.
Yes. We were in a nice position and then we weren't.
And suddenly 90 or something.
Yes.
But anyway, good story. Yeah, this ranch was definitely fabulous.
That was impressive, huh? Wow, amazing. But it was also nice to sit with you and understand a little bit more about your history. We want to talk about the French team and your coaching and the juniors program and all that, because I think people are very interested in that. Ellie and I were talking earlier. Ellie Eggers sitting right next to us, those of you who are listening. And we were talking about that, not I don't think any other nation has a program like this. So the world's very interested in it, and you're the man to talk about it. But I thought before we get there, it'd be nice to know about your own flying history. Where did you start? How did you get into it? And what brought you here?
Actually, both questions are kind of linked because I'm a product of the French Federation myself. Mm-hmm. So I used to live in the valley. We are just standing right now here. And I got very lucky because here was the famous Polisport working. So I could see them from my windows. And flying, and for sure it gave me some ideas really early on. And I managed to get into some initial courses and then to get myself accepted there at the Polisport. It's already it's 25 years from...
Time flies.
No, I'm turning 40 this year, it seems, so...
Yeah. It happens whether we want it to or not.
Wow.
And you have 2 kids?
I have 3.
3, that's right. 3 girls.
No, only boys.
Oh, 3 boys. Okay,
I do boys.
You do boys. I do girls.
Only do boys. Yeah, obviously it's a lot of work, so my life is kind of ordinary most of the time, like a family guy. And what is a bit more extraordinary is my job, obviously, because as you said, I think it's quite unique. Mm. It's again because of a French system. So I grew up as a teenager and as an athlete at the Polisport. Then I wanted for some more, so I went to Pole France in the Alps, competing with the guy back in time. Never was really successful, I would say, in the competition scene. But still, I learned a lot, and I was studying sport at the university at the same time. And I knew since the beginning that I would want to be coach of paragliding. And I even tell my coach back in time, here at Polisport, that the best job I could find was basically his. So when he retired, I took over.
And what was the initial catch? Was it just looking out your window, or was your family into flying? And did you come from a history of flying, or was it just you saw it out your window and got interested?
Yeah, kind of interested, and it's true that my father was also a leisure flyer. Okay. Not for very long. It's kind of crazy luck because he would have flown maybe for 2 or 3 years. It was just enough for me to get involved and to get the initial support. Mm. And then he stopped quite almost fastly, I would say. And I just followed it. Anyway, I was completely hooked, and I was already in the program of the French Federation. So they allowed me a lot, and this system allowed me to build myself as a sportman, adult, and a coach, I would say.
And when you say the Polisport, is that where we went yesterday? That's where the tracks and the training system that was all built for the Mexico Olympics?
Yeah. Polisport is a word that say a group of promise.
Okay.
Youngsters, promise. And there are Polisport in every different sport in France that are recognized like high-level sport. So basically there is a commission that means once per year stating which sport are interesting or not to finance and to help. And paragliding, obviously, is one of them. And we are lucky for that. Mm. They consider it seriously and they support it. So the French Federation had the brilliant idea in 1997, so quite a long time ago, to put a Polisport of paragliding there in Forum, where we were yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it's where all started. On the first session, a famous name is Cazaux. He was part of this team.
Yeah. And what do you call it? Is it the juniors team, or what is it called at that stage?
No, at that stage it has always been Polisport.
Okay.
And we don't really have a name.
Okay.
For it. Yeah.
Okay. So, and we had Charles on the show. He talked about it a little bit, but you go to the school for what? Is it also academics? Is it just flying? Is it theory? Is it strategy? What do you learn there?
It's a normal school, completely normal curriculum,
Okay.
meaning that you won't have a single hour less than any other student in France. But this school is a bit special because there are many sports you can do as an athlete yourself. And here they will help you with nutrition. You will have your coach. You will have a group in many sports: ski, wrestling, swimming, whatever, and also paragliding. So basically, you join this group. You are part of a group of teenager paraglider wannabe competition pilot.
Mm-hmm.
You have nice coach, nice support, and you try to make the best progress you can.
And it's just XC race to goal type racing, or is it macro and other stuff?
No, exactly. In France, the only recognized as height level is discipline is the race to goal type, the cross country
And you were
competition type.
18 when you enter?
I was probably less, 17, but it's possible to enter as low as 14. It was the case, as example, for Simon Mettetal, which is a famous name also, the French team, youngster. It's possible to enter really young, but because we have a university of sport next to the complex, it's also possible to get there at 20, 21.
And how do you get in? Is it an application? Is it a recommendation? Do you have to have other accommodations that you've gotten somewhere else? You
do an application form, and then you pass a test for a full week. We invite every pilot wannabe for 1 week at the very exact same complex. We show them what it is. So here is the room to sleep. Here is the food. Here is the site. We test every single student, and then we decide who could enter or not for the next season. And what you mentally test, or what are you testing? Yeah, technically, mentally, project, parent support, which is really important also. So we also have interviews with the parent. School level is also really important because, for sure, if you are already low on school level point of view, it won't get any better with 20 hours more training or a week. So, yeah, many things we test. And if you are accepted into the Polisport, then in 2 years in, you decide, I would like to switch to wrestling. Can you do that? Or if you're in the sport that you were accepted in? Yeah, exactly. Okay. You are in the same sport. If you want to change, you pass the test. And it happens. In fact, really? I got a hockey player that passed the test at paragliding and succeeded, and went to the Polisport for 2 years. Actually, and he was there at first for hockey, ice hockey. So yeah, everything can happen for sure. But well, it's not the main case. So you're a freshman or whatever they call it. You're in the first year. What are you learning in the paragliding side? What does the curriculum look like? The first year, the most important is that we will finish your education as a pilot, I would say. So we will learn you to take off and land safe, to build some flight plans, safe flight plans, short technical instruction in thermals. And it can be as low as this. So making sure that the whole curriculum as a normal pilot, autonomous pilot, a lot of exercise are about being autonomous in the sky, is completely done, built, strong. No weak point anywhere with wind, with drift, with whatever, And once this is done, we add the competitive game. So depending on the profile and on your level at entrance, it can take more or less time to check that you are actually ready to go bigger, to go on some other game and race game. Mm-hmm. So, and the goal is World Cup. Well, yeah, the end of what we have done as best is to have in the Polisport some World Cup medalists. So that's not only an entrance of the World Cup, but getting a podium. Okay. So that was extremely rare. It was the case for Simon Pellissier, Meryl Delferriere, some others, Simon Meteta, Lois Goutani, they managed. But for sure, it's extreme scenario. So the whole main objective is to educate people to competition to the point where we could finish the job in the Alps. Because we know that at the end of the day, they will finish their study somewhere else because it's only an institute. So it's a low-level graduation. And then they will need to build more experience.
Okay. So this program, the Polisport, is a 4-year program?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 year or 3 year, depending on the project, depending on when they enter exactly, or age they were when they joined. And then most of them will finish their curriculum in whatever, as example, engineer or whatever.
Okay, so then it'd be the expertise, your career more so than flying.
Exactly.
Okay, so you would kind of dual major, we would call it at home. You would have a major in flying and you'd have a major in engineering or chemistry or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this structure, Polisport, is the initial part of the iceberg that will guide you to the highest level as possible. And the last part is in the Alps. It's called the Pôle France.
Okay.
So it's not Pôle Espoir. There is no more hope. Now we talk about performing. And this is in the Alps. This is now run by Charles Cazaux.
Okay.
He's in charge of this.
Yeah.
And this is where we are willing to finish the job. No.
And so that's where you're putting the final touches. Is that where you're doing a lot of SAV or what is that? What does Charles' side look like?
Yeah, we can do some SAV sooner for sure, but then once you are out from the Polisport, the curriculum is much more autonomous because what will happen, every student will be in a different university anyway. It will be much more harder to gather them. So the schedule is more, okay, we are going to fly in 2 days. Who's coming? We take the bus, we take Charles. There is a training plan and we follow the training plan. We fly all together and we're back home. It's much more, how to say, in some way friendly and easy, and but it also requires
putting good pilots with really good pilots. Exactly. And learning.
Exactly. Whereas in the Polisport, in the same time, it's really the routine is really strong because it's every week look like another one. As example, we are flying on Wednesday and on weekends. Every Wednesday, every weekend is dedicated to fly. And then there is theory, 4 hours a week. So it's Tuesday and Thursday. And then sport, again, other sport on Thursdays and on Tuesdays. And it runs like something, because everybody is on the same place, and it's really easy together.
When you say other sport, like cross training, physical training, and just doing other balance and
exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Just developing as an athlete.
Yeah. The evolution of our sport now is getting a bit complicated with the weight, and we are more and more training with weightlifting. In fact, just because we try to protect some problem in case of crash. We also try to protect some issue wearing all the kilos we need to fly. So I must admit that we switched from something quite easy, cardio, and into something that is a bit nastier with weight. Yeah.
How many? I think you said 12, but is that right? Is it 12 people a year go into the program?
Yeah, it's an average. Can be less.
Okay.
The maximum had been 18.
18.
It had been a nightmare. It had been way too much. 18 people, imagine, on a daily basis.
That's a lot.
To handle. Yeah. Keep in mind that they are not over 18 people aged. They are minor of age.
Ah, really?
So they enter when they are 14, as example. So you are a bit the second father in a way, because
this is high school then. This is like 14 to 18.
Yeah, a small institute. Yeah, sorry.
I thought it was a university, which we would call kind of 18 to 22, college.
This is a possibility only in sport.
Gotcha.
and no other curriculum. So it's a really tiny part of our students.
Huh.
The major part of a student is below 18, are below 18. And then suddenly their father are not here. They are sleeping at the institute. And if there is any problem, who will they call then? Well, then you.
Sure. So this is kind of we would call that a boarding school.
Yeah.
And you go away to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. Or go away because you're a problem.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you ever done, since 97 then, have you ever looked back at the statistics on those who started and ended up as podium pilots?
Yeah.
Do you know what is it 50%? Is it 20?
No, it's much less for sure than 20. But it's actually a bit more up to 10. So
it's pretty good.
It's still if we are talking about getting recognized by the sport ministry as a high-level pilot. So it means that you have achieved decent results in your career. As example, the criteria right now is to be part, if I'm not mistaken, of the top 20 on the junior WPRS, the World Ranking System, pilot ranking system. Then they give you a recognition of being a real athlete. You know?
Okay.
And about 10% of students manage to get.
There's a lot of French in that top 20.
Yeah, exactly.
So it must be working.
Yes. It's kind of working definitely, but the important thing is that this formation is not only about medals, podiums, and in the end high level. We have plenty of students that follow a life into paragliding industry in a way or in another, being instructors, we have also a designer for Ozone. We have 3 or 4 designers for Super. We have plenty of guys that they did not achieve medals, but they are not lost for the system. Look at myself as example. Yeah. I didn't achieve and managed to grab a medal realistically, but I managed to learn some stuff into coaching, paragliding, and the job has been decent, we would say, on the last years, and thanks to this Polisport.
Tell me about your own progression through. So you started young, you got into the program. When did you make the switch to coaching? And you said you didn't have the results. You're in a perfect position to understand why. You're teaching these people. So what was it that you if you saw you coming up through the program again, what would it be?
Exactly. It's getting really personal, Gavin, now. But in fact, you're right. In a way, I become a coach to fix something I believe was missing when I was a student. And I always have been an impulsive person, quite having difficulties to control my mind and my temper. And I have attacked every single good position I had in any race when I was a kid. I had many, because technically I was not so bad.
Uh-huh.
And then the game for me was, I'm higher than the others, so I go straight and I try to win this race. And finally, I discovered that maybe paragliding is not that simple, in fact, because this race are race to uncertainty. The guy who is in front is the most insecure people on earth, because he doesn't know nothing at the moment of the rest of the race.
Yeah.
How it will react, where the next terminal is this cloud working?
He's the rabbit.
No, he's the rabbit. Yeah. And then suddenly at the back, for sure, if he fails, everybody will have the information. If he succeeds, everybody will have the information. And I think that, in some ways, this could lead to major try, error. It's not methodological at all to progress this way. And I try to understand a bit why it could work differently to train people and to help them fix this kind of problem. And in the end, I think I ended up writing stuff and helping people this way.
So I have this problem. What's the fix? What's the short answer fix when you have the excitement? You don't have Russ Ogden would call it discipline.
Exactly, this discipline. We discussed this exactly with Russ. We kind of agreed. I call it control, but he call it discipline. It's two words that design the exact same stuff. It's not a path mandatory to follow. For sure, some winners are completely attacking from the beginning to the end. I'm just saying that in a paragliding situation, it's not possible to have 120 attackers because the optimized line is not that wide. It's just as simple as this. You can attack on the optimum line. Someone can attack at the left, another one at the right. But at the end, there is no 120 option. So some other would have to follow. And it's at first it's a bit tricky to get this game. Unfortunately, the most technical guy, the guy that are technically very, very strong, got a lot of good position to attack. And if you fail to understand that they are not all attackable, tactically, not technically, then suddenly you are done. Because what you will do is you will manage 1, you will manage 2, you will manage 3, and on the 4th one or the 5th one, you will fail to find the correct core, the group will go elsewhere, and suddenly you will be 80. So this we work with schemes. Exactly. Schemes. Okay. So you got if you analyze your past performance, I'm pretty confident we will find a power schemes that you have. Yeah. You have it probably in mind. I see you smiling right now. So this is the most. This scheme give you the most probability to make it right. And something out of the schemes give you the worst probability to make it right. And what we are trying to achieve is keeping the pilot into their most powerful schemes. For sure, it's not the same for everybody. You can't ask Honorin Hamard to fly like Meryl Delferriere, but everyone has one, and everyone can be the best at their own game. And this is all we try to do.
We were talking on the drive up here that you helped Ellie and Maxime in this year's race in the X-Alps from the ground and gave them strategy and in air and helped guide them in the Alps. And you said something that I thought was pretty interesting. You said you're not a mental coach, but I find that hard to believe because your students and we always say this is a 90% mental game. You're right. There is the technical skills and all the things that go into flying, but like you're talking about there, the schemes and the probability and the math, that's really in the head, right? You're trying to maximize your flying potential, but it's the decision making as the course goes through. So I would imagine you really are a mental coach, even though you said not. What do you think?
Yeah, I still say no, and I can explain why. In fact, we always believe that decision making is coming from the mind. It's a mistake. Mm-hmm. Decision making is not always and only coming for the mind. And I have shortcuts, and I use those shortcuts. I will try to explain right now. In fact, depending on the situation you are in, you will take a different decision just because of the situation. It's not much of your brain that is deciding for you, but the situation in itself. I will take an example that you will hopefully easily understand. You are at the takeoff on the X-Alps, and the wind is way too strong, like completely too strong. There are clouds coming by. It's thunderstorm. It's not good at all. But if you don't take off here, right now, right here, you have 4 hours to go down, walking on big rocks to this valley, And if you don't go immediately, your contestant will be gone anyway forever. So isn't it suddenly harder for you to set your mind to say, okay, I resign, I pack my glider and I go down? It's even more difficult if your glider is already open and ready to take off. If it's packed, suddenly maybe there is a chance, So suddenly the situation, we see that it has a huge impact on how you can behave and react and decide. And I am a strong believer that we tend to overpower represents the power of the mind. I really think that in some situation you will have no trouble doing things correctly and putting good decision. And I think this is my job. I don't deny the power of the mental and the needs of mental coach in some occasion, but in my experience, it's kind of rare when it's needed. It's barely the mental that block your performance. It's more the situation where you put yourself in.
And I feel like you're kind of articulating flow in a different way. You're tapping into what you know how to do anyway. Your subconscious, let it do the work. Is that more or less? Don't think, do.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think, do, because doing is anyway thinking in a way. These are inspired by ecological theory of the spirit of the mind and of this decisional making. We need to stop considering the human brain as a computer that is treating information and making decisions. It's not working like that, and it has been proved many times by different studies. There are automatic reactions that are actually thought. I mean, acting is a thought already. There is no need for treatment. There is no need for a black box deciding. And again, the situation is helping you. I will provide a very, very concrete example. You are in front of the hardest transition in the world. So it's a canyon, there are power lines everywhere, and there are crocodiles and rivers, and it's ugly, very ugly, and the wind is completely shitty, and everything is really, really wrong. You have the best glide of the world, you are really good technically, everything is good, and then suddenly you see by Kriegel-Maurer passing, or Maxime Pinot, and they are trying to pass this transition together. If you do it by yourself, at least for myself, with my skills, there is 100% chance I will fail and I will die into the crocodiles. But suddenly, if they are close by, they are thinking, I have the best glider of the world, I'm okay technically, I'll follow them. And at the debriefing, when I will be asked, how hard was it to pass this transition? Which transition?
Yeah. I didn't even notice it.
No, I followed Max or Krieger or whatever,
right.
Huh. So what is the decision now? It's important to also see it this way. The situation you are in is also saving a lot of hassle in some occasion.
Interesting. You talked about Meryl and Ono and having different skills. How do you, as a coach, adapt to the different little, or sometimes I guess bigger differences? How do you help them, and what are the things you're looking for to be a good coach to different people?
You need to know their strong point, like to know them by heart, strong and weak. So I like to know that I see exactly where they risk nothing at all. The situation where this is fixed, they have it forever, they will succeed no matter what. But I also know in which situation they are suffering and having a lot of trouble. These situations are not the same, neither strong point, neither weak point, neither for Meryl, neither for Honorin. But at least I know when it will produce good results, live, and when it won't, and when it will fail. And I do that for each of the athletes. And I stopped thinking that there is a better way. There are no better way. There are personal way. So one can be world champion with one way, and the other one can be world champion with another way. So I'm not interested at all about how they do it. It's surprising. I don't care about how they do it. I just observe what's working for them and make sure that they keep doing where they are the best. The same stuff over and over, reproducing the scheme.
You've talked about strengths and weaknesses. Is it more important to focus on strengths or fixing weaknesses?
It's much more important than staying in your strength. So this in paragliding, this debate is over already, because if you never, it's not about having the super strength that nobody have, but it's more or no weakness at all. It's much more about never quitting what you know you can do perfectly. And if you focus on that exactly and try to destroy every stuff that can divide you from what you are usually achieving good, for sure you can be go really far in the progression. So I don't know if I'm really clear, but it's neither reinforcing strong points, neither than reinforcing weak points. The main thing is to never break the usual stuff you are producing and never go into your weak point. So I will make an example more clear, because I think it's really theoretical. But the second you will ask Meryl to lead a task, at the very second you will have trouble. You will have big trouble, because it's not part of her game at all. So, okay, one transition is okay, more or less, she will manage, but then
she starts overthinking it. She worries about making a mistake.
It's not even that she got stressed because she can like it. It's just that it's not what she does.
Yeah.
It's not how the performance is produced, how it emerges and how it's working. Mm. And at the very same time, what's crazy is that Honorin is a super pilot. He wants plenty of tasks. But if he starts from a really specific situation, I can say from the beginning that it's not going to happen today. And this situation is a bit detached from the group, lower, with real attackers attacking all the days in front of him.
Don't push too hard.
Yeah, he will get nervous and he will try to overpush. Most of the time he'll manage. But anyway, the fact for him to not being able to win this task right now will be overwhelming. And at the end, and I don't think he managed many tasks like that. It's not his way of creating performance. If you tell him to just control everything and just turn Meryl style, he will get really, really upset because he don't feel like he grabbed leading bonus. And suddenly he get tense, and then problem gonna occur.
Game over. I got to see you work, a couple times lately, but especially down in Castello, because I was always setting up next to you, and I really wish that I could speak French, because you would talk every day to all the French team and all the French pilots, I think, or most of them, for quite a long time. What are you saying? What are you talking about?
It's a routine, so it's very easy to describe. First thing is we make a point on the weather forecast, what is expected today, or it's important, or it will affect the current task. Then we discuss a lot of where we are in the competition, because it's really important. Is it discard day? Is it a random day? No trouble. Final task, first task.
But when you say we, but specific to different people or just in general?
No, in general.
Okay.
So I talked to the whole group, and the discussion is open. Obviously, everyone can speak, and we try to figure out where we are in this competition, how it will affect again the current task. because obviously if it's discard day and a lot of guys have nothing to lose, probably it will attack a bit more. The rhythm will be a bit more faster. If some guys already discarded a lot, it's discard day, they maybe don't want to
risk too much,
so they can have conflict. It's really useful to get a tactical insight of the situation. Then we go through the task, obviously, what is going to be done today. And we discuss the option. We plan the final glide, which is really important, the final glide. And that's about it. But I think those discussions are good to get some focus. The fact it's a routine, it's just something you do no matter what. It helps also reducing the uncertainty, and it helps pilot to get right into the zone and before takeoff.
Back to your own personal journey with this, you were coaching for, what were the years you were coaching?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
What were the years you were coaching for the poly team? Because you're not doing that now, correct?
No, at Polisport, I have been 8 or 9 years. Can't remember, but I quit in 2021 at the Polisport.
Okay.
So the youngsters we are talking. And now I'm in charge of the guys, the French team, so the older guys. And I'm still in charge right now. And it's been since 3 years. Almost 3 years.
And what does that look like as a job now? You go to all the World Cups, you do the trainings with Charles. What is it, full time? Is it year round?
Yeah, but coaching is only the small tip of the iceberg, I would say, because this is the fun part where you go with the team and fly and coach and help them hopefully getting better. But the whole job is more about structuring the high level elite of the sport nationally. So we discussed about Polisport, we discussed about Pôle France, both structure, one in the Alps, the other in the Pyrenees, that are helping us to provide talents, but we have others, regionally speaking. And I'm in charge of the whole project, responsible for the whole project. So I work with the coaches, I work on the budget, I have a really, really interesting administrative life, like a desk office job. Unfortunately, probably.
But it seems like you're having fun. It's a cool thing to be around this kind of level, and helping people achieve is one of the best things ever.
It's a very good balance, being honest, because I am a family man, as you know. So at the moment you are home and working on papers, then suddenly you're the perfect father. You go to school with the kids, and it's easy. And at some point, I also need to go really wild with the guys and put myself in the air with them and go on into some competition. And I love this balance. Yeah.
Ellie was telling me yesterday when we were doing some training that she spent some time with you at some point in the middle of the worlds. She hurt her ankle and got to ride around with you in the car and watched you work.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me. The U.S. team, we've never had anything like that. We don't have a coach. You're doing it totally on your own. Even at the Worlds, they're not really working together. We don't know how. It's that we haven't learned these skills. So I think, but many people listening would love to know, what are you telling the pilots in the air, and how are you helping them from the ground? Is it just weather observations? Are you giving them where other people are? What are you identifying that's helping the pilots in the air?
Yeah, as we discussed, I help them mostly to keep into their strong skin. So I provide all the information you mentioned. It can be for sure weather, but it's mostly live tracking information. We had a super nice edition on the last edition. It was a super powerful long glass. I don't know if it's the correct word in English. Telescope, yeah. And I was able to match live the observation with the live tracking, getting more and more accurate. And you could, as example, say at the final glide, if there are some birds, or it's super powerful tool, really. So I basically try to find the right scenario for the team at the briefing, so before the task, and then we work all together to put this scenario into life during the task, helping each other's sharing the right information so this scenario could be a reality, basically. Our radio protocol is not secret. Many team leaders were asking me before what we were sharing, because for sure it's not really obvious what to say in such case. Our attackers are announcing the vario, the power of the vario in front, because it's very, very important for the other that are at the back to know what's the next vario is, the power. So they know if they can continue to speed up, or if the vario suddenly is not really good, it means that they have time. So it's this theory of control that is really important, I would say.
So the pilots are reporting back as well. Everybody's part of the bird, the part of the flock.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's super important.
So you're all on one channel, or are you able to talk to somebody independently?
No.
Everybody's on one channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that they can announce. It's a mandatory stuff. If you don't do it, then you will have trouble, because other teammates will say, hey, but we don't have the info.
We didn't know. Oh.
So this is important. And for the people at the back, they are in charge and responsible for announcing the options, tactical options they are seeing, because they are in best position to talk about what they see and what the race look like. Yeah, I'm seeing a Jean Boomerang red attacking to the left. Okay. We got rid of all confirmation, well received, because it's an overkill. And we work this way, trying to keep the scenario and the strong scheme to everybody.
And then are there, in the Argentina Worlds 2 years ago that Russ won, I talked to quite a few, Seb and Russ and Jockey, and it didn't start off this way, but when it started looking like Russ had a pretty good chance, but even quite early on, people were really assigned roles. You know, okay, you're going to be the rabbit, you're going to be flying with Russ, you're going to be staying back and give the information like you're talking about. Will the French team do the same? Are there assigned positions? In other words, okay, Arnaud's got the best shot of winning the Worlds, we're going to sport on, period. Or is it more whoever can win, go for it?
No, it's at first, for sure, every individual pilot want to be world champion. And in the French team, many of them have good chance to achieve that. So for sure, you need to let them express. But again, you want them to express themselves on their strong point. So I insist a lot on this. For sure, you cannot talk to Ono and tell him, okay, you will fly on the second group today because it will be useful for the team. It won't work like that, because he won't be world champions. So you know he will attack. So then you can choose a team. You are not obliged to put your team with 3 attackers or 4 attackers and go all in every day. It's not mandatory. So you choose wisely. We have Meryl, that is in a different game completely, and we are very lucky to have her, because she scored big point as a girl and secure a lot of tasks. And then I made the choice to put Pierre as example, because I know his strong points are actually really tactical. He fly the gaggle really well. Like maybe I compare him to Aaron Duragati or to Joachim or Berose. People that fly in front, but not attacking every single position, and are really smart in a group. So it was my choice as example. And then this game of assigning role to every people in your team will come a bit later with the task, because soon you will realize that these people have no chance of winning. These guys, maybe he has a chance of winning, and then you play the scenario. You tend to create a scenario that will bring you some medals. This is what you do. And I'm quite sad for some country when I see them flying. They have a chance of medal and they don't even really defend it. You know, the poor girl could be 2 or first, but she's alone, and the teammate, they want to be 10th. Yeah, you know, we just don't work like this at all. It's no sense for us. 10th, it's nothing. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
We will defend the girl anyway, or we will defend the guy, and we are playing this game. We defended we managed to be 1, 2, 3, and 2 top women because we defended every single position every day, not because we left the people
to fight on their own.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, X-Alps. We'll leave this this part for the end. I didn't know this, that you were helping Maxime and Ellie. What does that look like? That's fascinating to me. So talk about the intensity of it. It sounded like it was quite intense for you. Just being on that side and being responsible in a lot of ways for some of the decisions that they were making is scary in that race.
Yes, it is. I think it's hard for people to realize what could be your contribution if you are not on the terrain, because you imagine that the X-Alp would be something really practical, and you need to be really close to the athlete. And we didn't make this choice. We made the choice of trying to have some external help remotely. So that was my job. The job is router, basically. So trying to route the athlete and give them information live. So how does it work? You are in front of a computer, in front of your desk, and you are playing with your friends who are basically risking their life, more or less, and tell them how to avoid nastiest situation and how to improve their performance with navigational help. You use every single new technology you can have to do that. So you have the webcams, you have Zero to talk to them live. They can reply to you. So this is a live discussion while they are flying. You have the weather forecast, you have the tracking position of everybody, you have the routing system for the ground, and you try to help them in the best way you can. The problem is it's not a video game. You're playing with your friends. You are taking decisions that are shared, but it's still you are part of the decisional process. And as things can evolve quite roughly, it can get a bit tense behind the screen. As example, I was counting the thunderstorm while Maxime was flying near Chamonix, and I was counting the distance of the next live thunder I got on the screen to his position. And at some point, we got to decide with Luc Armont if it's close enough or if we can just follow his path. He was requesting information. We went to push him and to encourage him this day. But then suddenly you go to sleep and you realize that if the decision is wrong, then it's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a very fine line, isn't it?
The line is fine. You try to do it as professionally as possible, but for sure the job is exhausting. I know that the drone pilots that are making wars are affected by kind of a similar syndrome, because you're kind of playing to a video game, but it has consequence on the terrain. So yeah, for sure, I ended up the race. It's crazy to say that, because I didn't even run, or I didn't even. How can I complain if the athlete themselves are they achieve runs and thousands of verticals, and they are fine, but I was wasted, really. Yeah.
Being a supporter is hard, I think, at any level. I got to see that. I mean, they get wrecked. They get absolutely destroyed as well. It's tough. Have you done that before, that role?
I trained many times with Maxime, a bit with Ellie. I trained live with Maxime on some previous race, obviously. And I always have been around trying to help a bit the athletes, but it was the first time it was so intense, and so to say that calculated that I would be in charge of this role. It was the first edition.
Silly question, but one that everybody wants to know is: everybody can be beat, of course, even Kriegel. But what would it take for, and who in your opinion has the best shot?
Well, we all believe that Maxime would have good chance, and I think it's still the case. But it seems that Kriegel is showing that we would need to have a bit of luck with the weather, something a bit smoother, isn't it? Yeah. No, for sure. Realistically, we have again seen Kriegel flying on a different level when the conditions were getting nasty and probably at some point unflyable for most men. I think the logic of this race is a bit dangerous at some point because, for sure, I don't want to say anything bad on the performance of Kriegel because everybody can measure it and understand that it's huge. But if you never give up on any city condition, what happened then?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a question that can be asked. Maybe the logic of this race is that if you follow the flight, even in the really big nightmare condition, you will win it. That's okay.
Yeah.
But is that fun? Or, I mean, I'm sure even for him, he managed, all went good. Of course, he's exceptional pilot, probably. Why not? I can accept it better than any other athlete, technically. But still, the logic seems a bit flawed.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where, like you said, your scenario earlier on, it's way too strong. There's too many clouds. It's below. It's rocky. It's nasty. If you don't take off, you are not going to win the race. You have to, and you have to keep doing it over and over and over and over. You know, in 21, it was just ridiculous. It was just the flying in absurd conditions over and over and over. And if you don't do it, you don't have a chance. So you're really rolling the dice. I would think if we had Kriegel here, he would say he's rolling the dice less than everybody else because he trains so much and that stuff. But you're still rolling the dice. To me, I don't know. You're right. It's a very good proposition.
I think this race is not a competition; it's an adventure. And Kriegel has shown that he's the best paraglider adventurer worldwide. When he was on the competition scene, he was anyway the best pilot. Kudos to him. I have a huge respect for what he achieved. It's completely amazing. I like to remind people that there is a difference between an adventure and a competition. On competition, there are institutions and there are rules, and some of those rules are to protect the pilots from themselves. On an adventure, it's obviously probably not the case. Yeah, we are amazed by the performance, and it's getting a very popular race. Really, probably the best communicative race around paraglider. But again, it's not something really trivial that we are watching. We are watching people risking their life, basically, on the top spot. I mean, so... Okay, I respect that, and I went involved into that, but I have this somewhere in my mind, and I have a lot of respect for the athlete who participated in this kind of adventure.
It sounds like Ellie, who's sitting here, and Maxime will do it again. Will you support them again? Would you do it again?
No, I won't.
That's it.
Yeah, I told them both. They know I'm not because as I said, for me at least for Maxime it's definitive because it's for the top places and the logic is also to be discussed. For Ellie, I think she has proven that it's possible to finish the race, staying on the safe side of the coin, of the situation. I think the whole team did a wonderful job to make us stay in the rhythm of this race and to avoid the wind and to fly on west face when it was too rough she managed and it went not that bad. At the front, it was crazy in many occasions, and this I'm not willing to live again. This kind of stress and emotion. But I understand why it's fascinating, and I will follow the race, probably, but with less responsibility.
Yeah, that's something that we tried. I think we did a better job this year from the reporting side, which I had never done, to bring more of that to the audience. But what people don't understand, the day that Maxime landed in the wind and Damien flew his incredible flight, it was so far from recreational conditions. I don't think people understand that. There were no other pilots out that day. 2015, when we went through the Matterhorn, and there were 6 of us up at the Matterhorn, no other pilots were up there for a reason. It was wave flying. It was 60 kilometers an hour up tall, and it was that strong that day down in the lakes. It was incredibly strong, and it's another game. That's a pretty wild game.
Man, you are giving me chills again. Yeah, for sure. It's I think the paragliding community is too soft spoken when it comes to talk about risk. We want to enjoy the game, and we don't want to think too much about what we risk here. But if you realize and if you develop all the possible scenario when things go wrong with the wind or with the thunderstorm, you will realize that a paraglider is a very, very little tool.
Napkin.
Yeah, it's something that is it's very rudimental to cross the Alps. Look at a rescue system. Maybe you will manage to throw it, and maybe it will tangle in the glider. If it's suddenly open, you will go God's nowhere. Let's discuss all this to the end. What will you do with your rescue on a power line or on a crazy river? Let's detail it all what we witnessed, because those kind of accidents we have witnessed in the past, many. This we don't want to talk much. We want to talk about the fact that they made a 200 or 300 kilometer and 11-hour flight. That's good, okay. But how was it? This is not really, how to say that. It doesn't sell. It's not really funny. I really think that we need to explain more the risks.
Yeah. I don't think that. I know it doesn't. It just doesn't come across. You get the numbers, and it's 11.5-hour flight, and it's 267K. But I was watching the live stuff that day. It was freaking terrible. It must have been terrifying to be there. I can't imagine what Damien's head was like at the end of that day. It must have felt like he'd gone to, must have been in the rink with Muhammad Ali for 11.5 hours. That's tough going. And hats off to him. It's amazing, but it's also really scary.
And the day after was even worse.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they are amazing athlete and amazing pilot, amazing person. And I hope they'll manage to get protected as much as really long in their career. And because this race is definitely something that put them that overstretched them a lot.
You're going 100% and a whole lot of percent beyond. Julien, fascinating, awesome, wonderful to share all these thoughts with you, and you're very good at articulating it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
If you find the Cloud-Based Mayhem valuable, you can support it in a lot of different ways. You can give us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or however you get your podcast. That goes a long ways and helps spread the word. You can blog about it on your own website or share it on social media. You can talk about it on the way up to launch with your pilot friends. I know a lot of interesting conversations have happened that way. And of course, you can support us financially. This show does take a lot of time, a lot of editing, a lot of storage and music and all kinds of behind the scenes cost. So if you can support us financially, all we've ever asked for is $1 a show. And you can do that through a one-time donation through PayPal, or you can set up a subscription service that charges you for each show that comes out. We put a new show out every 2 weeks. So for example, if you did $1 a show and every 2 weeks, it'd be about $25 a year. So way cheaper than a magazine subscription, and it makes all of this possible. I do not want to fund this show with advertising or sponsors. We get asked about that pretty frequently, but for a whole bunch of different reasons, which I've said many times on the show, I don't want to do that. I don't like having that stuff at the front of the show. And I also want you to know that these are authentic conversations with real people, and these are just our opinions, but our opinions are not being skewed by sponsors or advertising dollars. I think that's a pretty toxic business model. So I hope you dig that. You can support us. If you go to cloudbasedmayhem.com, you can find the places to support. You can do it through patreon.com/cloudbasedmayhem. If you want a recurring subscription, you can also do that directly through the website. We've tried to make it really easy, and that will give you access to all the bonus material, little video casts that we do and extra little nuggets that we find in conversations that don't make it into the main show, but we feel like you should hear. We don't put any of that behind a paywall. If you can't afford to support us, then just let me know and I'll set you up with an account. Of course, that'll be lifetime, and hopefully you're being in a position someday to be able to support us. But you'll find all that on the website. All of you who have supported us or even joined our newsletter or bought Cloud-Based Mayhem merchandise, t-shirts or hats or anything, you should be all set up. You should have an account and you should be able to access all that bonus material now. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next show. Thank you.